audience out there, you can become a member. And there is a website, and I believe, what is the website, Patricia?
nabmw.org.
Okay.
That's nabmw.org.
All right, very good. NABMW.org. So keep that in your head. Write it down. You can actually, when we get off this video here, just go straight to your computer and go right in there. You can definitely do that. Now, Patricia, in addition, now we've gone through her growing up. We've talked through her various military careers here, obviously. We've talked about her on the veteran side of her. We've talked about her on the leadership as being an advocate, particularly for our women veterans. And you would think, what else could there be to talk about? You would think, she has done so much. What could we possibly be missing? Well, I'm going to tell you what we could be missing. That is not the end. She has done so much in her local community. It is not unusual to see her, even now, we're in the middle of this pandemic. It is not unusual to see her out here assisting with making sure people that are hungry get fed. She's really good with that, making sure that people, and I'm just not talking about just veterans, but people in need, making sure that people are indeed connected to resources that they need. I've seen her work with helping some of our young female veterans, really, who were experiencing temporary homelessness. I've seen you work with that group to help them. And then I believe you also serve as a board member of another one of our veterans, and I forgot the name of it. I remember Jody Grenier, I believe, is the one that heads that one up, but I believe you're on their board.
Foundation for Women Warriors.
Foundation for Women Warriors. That's it. That's it.
I proudly serve on that board. And being in the community, you get the opportunity to serve on a lot of boards. A lot of people ask you to serve on their boards. And I really have been selected because my time is very limited. So the reason why I chose this organization to serve on that board is because I worked with some of the veterans that they help. And I noticed that the one thing that is different when they assist the veterans, they check back to see how the veterans are doing. They do follow up, not just a few weeks later, years later. They will call and see if the veteran is still doing okay, those that they can contact. And they have so many veterans that are willing to volunteer for the organization because they've helped them so much. And they have a special assistance program for the veterans that are in school where they have childcare, and so that is so different from most of the other boards. And I can't say enough about our CEO, Jody Grenier. She's one of the hardest working people that you could possibly want to meet. She has taken us to a whole new level, and we're so proud of her. And she has an affinity for Dr. Willingham Tour.
I love working with her. She's amazing. I love what she's doing. I love her commitment. She is a Marine veteran, as I recall, too, by the way, to our audience out there, because you may not know that many women who are Marine Corps veterans, but she's a Marine Corps veteran, an amazingly dynamic young woman who's really committed to really serving veterans and making sure that our women veterans really have every opportunity possible to succeed. So I'm very proud. I just wanted to make sure we brought that into your interview here, because I know that that's such an important part of who you are as well. So I know that that's been really important to you. And I also realized, Patricia, that you, in addition to the Villager Awards, for her, that's just one of the many awards that she has received. So I really want you to just share with us just two or three of the other awards that I know you've gotten already, because I think it's important, particularly for our young people, as they're watching this whole trajectory here of your life, to just sort of see where at some point recognition does eventually come. Sometimes we work for a long time before that comes, but when it does come, it's considered a blessing. So could you tell us a little bit about that side of it?
Well, I I have gotten so many awards until I just feel so grateful, that I'm here to see it. From Cal Vet, I've been the Woman Veteran of the Year, and I've gotten recognition from the National Minority Veterans Organization. Um, I've gotten awards from the Board of Supervisors, from President Bush, from, I mean, numerous. I just, I can't begin to tell you how many.
Oh,
Just
really?
so many, and unfortunately, a lot of them were damaged in the move. I had some things in storage, and unfortunately, some of them got damaged. So, but that's less that I have to find room for.
I think it's all important. I think to my audience, that just sort of goes to show you. I think uh, not only all the work that Patricia does in the community, but I think it also goes to show that it does not go unnoticed. That she's so humble in what she does. That she really is. But even in that humbleness, people can see when you're trying to do good in the community. And it's not always easy to do good in the community. It's not that you run against some odds sometimes. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time before people really do see, the benefit of what's being done, but they do eventually see it.
And
And with
one of the most unique rewards was the one from the Village project, because my husband and I got an award together, and I was really happy for him, because most of the time he's in the shadow. So I really am grateful for that.
and it was wonderful to recognize the both of you together. It really was, and realize that you both have really made tremendous contributions. And I'm going to interview him at some point. He's another whole story here with his work in support, particularly post. And now that's really important in support of the postal workers, because I believe he had retired, as I recall, in addition to being a veteran from the U.S. Postal Service. And I think that we don't get to hear those voices or hear what happened with those stories. But I know that he and Patricia, I believe you've been very active as a member of that auxiliary. But that's another organization. I haven't even talked about them yet. Uh, at a time when we really do, I think the nation has come to appreciate the importance of postal workers now, and learn a whole lot more about what those jobs really entail. So this is good timing. This is good timing. And I want to say that Patricia and George, her husband, were among our first couples to receive a Villager Award. They were one of the first couples that received one. And we'll never forget that day. We'll never forget that day. It was very impressive for all of us and very inspiring. So it's definitely on our minds. So now let me move you on over here. We got two other categories here before we close. One is your work with various nursing organizations, but particularly I'm going to talk about your work with Kai to Phi. I know that you're a member of Delta Chapter, which is, I believe, the oldest chapter here established here on the West Coast, if I'm correct. And I know that you have been with that chapter so actively with it for so many years. Again, we're talking decades now. To my audience, we get it. We're at the age now that whenever we talk, we're talking decades. So this is decades. But if you can share with us just a little bit about uh, Chi Phi sorority, Delta chapter, and a little bit about what your involvement has been over the years. For those who do not know, this is a professional nursing organization. It consists of all registered nurses. All registered nurses. Okay, Patricia?
The Chi Phi sorority is an international nursing um, sorority, and I've been a member of Delta chapter. I think 27 years. I think it is, and now I got 25-year pin. I think it's 27 years, and the motto is service to humanity. And we do health fairs. Uh, we speak in the community. We do a lot, when it comes to health issues in the community. In fact, today I was out at the VA hospital. Um, Sora, well, Elcido Bradley, who was one of my sorority sisters and our past national president, gave me
A past
blankets.
villager award recipient too.
Uh,
Yeah, she's a past villager award recipient as well.
right. Well, she gave me blankets to give to the veterans. So I went out today and I delivered some to the nursing home out there. Um, uh, and they were for the women's veteran. Unfortunately, there's only two women veteran in the nursing home. So I will make an attempt to try and find other women's veterans to deliver them to. But I took clothing. I took the VA has started a pantry, a food pantry. So if you have any leftover food, canned goods, they could use them to put in their pantry. I took food out for the food pantry, and I've been cleaning, so I took all the pots and pans that I wasn't using. I took them out because they give them to the VASH program for the veterans who are going into their apartments with absolutely nothing. So I took blankets and I took sheets and all kinds of stuff out there today.
Very good, very good. And I'm sure that was much appreciated. And
Yeah.
especially today, those of you that don't know it, we're here in Southern California, and today our temperature dipped down. I know, don't laugh at us, those of you who are out east, but dipped down into the 40s. And it's up a little bit and then back down to 40s. And that's after us experiencing what we considered summer like weather just a couple of days earlier. So when it dips down to 40 and you've been used to summer, it's good for our veterans to maybe have blankets for sure, because they're really needed. They are needed. So much appreciated, I'm sure. Okay. So now let's move on a little bit here and let's talk a little bit more about your personal life. I know that you're married to George. I know that you have a wonderful son and beautiful grandchildren. See how that brings a smile to her face automatically when I start mentioning that. So just tell us a little bit about that side of you.
Okay. Well, this is my second marriage, and we've been George and I've been married for 16 years now.
Okay.
Um, I have a son from my previous marriage. He is in Denver, Colorado. His name is Kyler, and Kyler is 46 years old. Uh,
Okay.
he has a lovely wife and four wonderful, fantastic children, my grandchildren.
Yes.
Um, Jai, the oldest one, is determined that he's going to live in California. So even though he's been sent back a couple of times, he keeps coming back. He loves California.
Yeah.
Jai is 19. He will be 20 in March. Jalen is 18. She'll be 19 in August. Jalen got a scholarship to go to Clemson University and to play softball. Um, and unfortunately, with the pandemic, she's at home and she's doing courses from home, but she's doing very well. The first year there, she broke all kinds of records and got all kinds of awards. So, we're kind of disappointed that she's not able to continue her softball his career. But we're sure that it will resume one day. And
Yeah.
then the next oldest child is Jaron. Jaron is 16. And the youngest one is Jacob, and he's 14.
Beautiful. 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 And
And
I
then
understand.
Kyler is he's an educator. He teaches Japanese and Spanish, and each year he used to take his Japanese students to Japan for the summer during the spring break.
Yeah.
His wife is also an educator. She teaches as well.
And I believe I saw somewhere where I believe his wife was a recipient of a Teacher of the Year award. Did we did we
Yeah,
did we get that research right? I think I was told that. So
yeah, he did.
That is absolutely
And
wonderful.
he also received Coach of the Year because he used to coach softball for the girls.
Uh-huh.
Jalen was one of his players.
Oh, now that's inside track. That's a very good generational things that are going on there. That's absolutely great. I really well, Patricia, Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Jackson Kelley. It's been wonderful just sitting here and chatting with you and hearing your story. And I feel like I know so much more about you now, just hearing how you're moving forward, much more than what we get to hear. You know, at the Villager Awards, you guys, we get to hear a snippet of who our award recipients are. And maybe one of the things that's happened to us now as we're into this pandemic, where we have time. We have the time now to actually go back and actually sit and talk to our Villager Award recipients and to hear more of their stories. So that's even richer than the little paragraph we give you when you're at the Villager Award. So I want to thank you so much, Patricia. I want to thank you for sharing your story. I want to thank you for being a friend and a trusted advisor to all of our work, not just with the Villager Awards, but with the entire, I call it my repertoire of village projects, because she's never said no. She's always there when we call upon her for anything. And we really, really appreciate that. We sort of call her our informal ambassador almost for all the work that we're doing. And we try to reciprocate that by also being a champion for the work that we know that she's doing out there in the community as well. And so, with that, I think we've sort of come to the end of the interview. I do like to end it, Patricia, by asking if there's just one little piece of advice or whatever that you would like to leave with the audience. I'd like you to do that as sort of our closing word here.
I guess the one piece of advice that I would give is that um, no matter how dark things may seem, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And you need to look ahead at the light and not back at the darkness.
Thank you. Excellent. I'm not going to say anything behind that. Thank you, and thank you to those of you who have tuned in. And we look forward to seeing you again when we're doing our next interview. So thank you very much, and goodbye.